Hello friends, you've just unlocked another chapter of the past, hidden, untold, and waiting to be discovered. This is Buried Truths. Let's view the video. The Mongol Empire, one of history's most expansive and feared empires, began with a boy named Temujin on the harsh Mongolian steppes. From tribal rivalries to world domination, this is the story of how a hunted orphan became Genghis Khan, conqueror of nations and architect of an empire that reshaped history forever. Temujin was born around 1162 near the Onan River. After his father, a minor chieftain, was poisoned by rivals, Temujin's family was cast out by their tribe. Left to starve on the steppe, the boy grew up battling hunger, betrayal, and brutal winters, learning early that survival required strength, loyalty, and cunning. Temujin's first major alliance came through marriage to Borte, who was later kidnapped by a rival tribe. Rescuing her with help from allies, he built loyalty through merit, not blood. This radical approach won him warriors from different clans, disrupting the traditional Mongol hierarchy and drawing attention from powerful rivals. Temujin's greatest rival was Jamukha, his blood brother turned enemy. In 1201, Temujin defeated him in a brutal civil war. Rather than embracing traditional tribal favoritism, Temujin promoted individuals based on talent. His use of discipline, unity, and ruthless justice allowed him to consolidate power over the fractious Mongol tribes. In 1206, at a great Kurultai, tribal council, Temujin was proclaimed Genghis Khan, meaning universal ruler. This was more than a title, it symbolized a new era. He reorganized the Mongols into a military machine and declared his divine mission to bring order to the world, beginning an age of relentless conquest. With his leadership solidified, Genghis Khan established a law code called the Yasa, created a postal system, and punished corruption harshly. His administration balanced brutality with order, loyalty with terror. These reforms provided the structure for a transcontinental empire and laid the foundation for an expansion that would soon shock the world. From a discarded child in the wilderness to supreme ruler of the steppe, Genghis Khan's rise was marked by ambition, resilience, and strategic brilliance. His early life forged the tools of empire. What began in blood and betrayal would soon ignite the flames of a conquest that no civilization had seen before. Genghis Khan's true genius lay not just in conquest but in innovation. He transformed loosely organized tribes into the most feared military force of the medieval world. With unmatched mobility, discipline, and psychological warfare, the Mongol war machine devastated empires. It was a deadly blend of steppe tradition and brilliant adaptation. At the core was the Mongol horse archer. Each soldier carried multiple bows and hundreds of arrows, striking with precision from a distance. They could ride for days without rest, sustaining themselves on dried meat and mare's milk. The horse and rider became one, creating unmatched speed and fluidity in battle. Their organization was revolutionary. Units were divided into tens, hundreds, thousands, and 10,000s. Each commander was chosen for merit, not bloodline. This hierarchy ensured clear communication and control. Discipline was ruthless, cowards were executed. Loyalty to the Khan was absolute, forming a disciplined and terrifyingly efficient military structure. Feigned retreats became a Mongol trademark. Pretending to flee, they lured enemies into traps, then ambushed from multiple sides. This psychological trickery shattered formations and morale. Enemies never knew whether victory was real or bait, creating a constant state of fear and confusion in opposing armies. Siege warfare, once a Mongol weakness, became a strength through adaptation. They absorbed Chinese engineers, using catapults, flaming arrows, and gunpowder bombs. Cities that resisted faced annihilation. Their reputation for brutality often led to surrender without a fight. Terror became a strategic weapon, saving Mongol lives while destroying resistance. Intelligence and communication were paramount. The Mongols created a sophisticated spy network to study terrain, politics, and enemy weaknesses. Their YAM system, an early postal relay network, allowed lightning-fast communication across vast distances, coordinating armies across continents. This level of control was unheard of in medieval warfare. The Mongol war machine wasn't just brute force, it was a masterpiece of planning, precision, and terror. Genghis Khan created an army that moved like a storm and struck like lightning. With strategy and speed, they shattered the old rules of war, leaving only ash and awe in their wake. With unmatched momentum, the Mongol war machine surged beyond the steppe. Genghis Khan turned his eyes toward the great civilizations of Asia. From the imperial courts of China to the ancient cities of Persia and the proud principalities of Kievan Rus, no empire seemed too mighty to escape Mongol wrath. The Khwarezmian Empire in Persia was the Mongols' first true test. After merchants were murdered and ambassadors executed, Genghis unleashed vengeance. In 1219, his armies swept across Persia. Cities like Bukhara and Samarkand fell. Defenders were slaughtered, survivors enslaved. It was an apocalypse cloaked in precision and fury. The destruction of Nishapur in 1221 was especially brutal. After a Mongol general was killed, the city faced total annihilation. Contemporary accounts claim over 100,000 were massacred. Bones were piled in pyramids. These events weren't mindless savagery, they were psychological weapons meant to terrify any future resistance into surrender. Meanwhile in China, the Mongols attacked the powerful Jin dynasty in the north. Using siege engines, river blockades, and relentless pressure, they captured Zhongdu, modern-day Beijing, in 1215. Genghis combined nomadic speed with captured Chinese siege expertise, breaking cities that had withstood invasions for centuries. Northern China collapsed in flames. In Eastern Europe, the Mongols under Subutai and Bata Khan crushed the Kievan Rus between 1237 and 1240. Cities like Ryazan, Vladimir, and Kiev were obliterated. At the Battle of Khalkha River in 1223, Mongol tactics humiliated the Rus and their allies. It was a prelude to greater devastation. No resistance was too distant. The Mongols followed fleeing rulers into deserts, mountains, and across rivers. Their speed and logistics overwhelmed slower, traditional armies. They didn't just win battles, they erased cities, toppled dynasties, and extinguished cultures that had thrived for centuries. The old world was burning under Mongol hooves. From China to Persia and Rus, the Mongols redrew the world's borders. Ancient capitals fell silent, trade routes shifted, and dynasties vanished. These conquests weren't just military, they were civilizational collapses. The Mongol Empire didn't merely defeat enemies, it erased them, leaving only scorched earth and trembling survivors behind. After years of conquest and destruction, the Mongols ushered in an unexpected golden age. Known as the Pax Mongolica or Mongol Peace, this era brought stability, safety, and trade across Eurasia. From the Pacific to the Mediterranean, merchants, scholars, and pilgrims traveled safely under the protection of Mongol rule. The Silk Road, once dangerous and fragmented, became a superhighway of ideas and commerce. Mongol patrols guarded caravans, roads were repaired, and passports called paisi were issued for safe passage. Goods like silk, spices, porcelain, gold, and even glass flowed freely between East and West. Religious tolerance was official policy. The Mongols respected Buddhism, Islam, Christianity, and Taoism alike. In their courts, lamas, imams, monks, and priests debated peacefully. This harmony attracted scholars and thinkers, who spread not only ideas but also technologies, medical knowledge, and astronomy across thousands of miles. Cultural exchange flourished. Chinese printing reached the Islamic world. Persian art influenced Mongol architecture. Gunpowder and papermaking spread westward, changing warfare and education in Europe. The Mongols didn't just conquer, they connected. Cities like Karakoram and Samarkand became intellectual crossroads, where science, art, and trade blossomed together. The Mongols also reformed taxation and governance to encourage prosperity. Merchants were valued, even exempt from taxes. Postal relay stations ensured swift communication. Their administrative networks allowed for census taking, food distribution, and standardized measurements, laying the groundwork for modern statecraft in many regions they ruled. European travelers like Marco Polo ventured deep into Mongol Asia, returning with tales of splendor and efficiency. His journey to the court of Kublai Khan amazed Europe. Through such accounts, the Mongol Empire opened Western eyes to a wider world, accelerating curiosity, trade, and eventually the age of exploration, while the Mongols were feared conquerors. They also created bridges between civilizations. The Pax Mongolica stitched together a fractured world into a single, interconnected system. For nearly a century, peace ruled where chaos had reigned, and the winds of empire carried not just war, but progress, knowledge, and global transformation. After Genghis Khan's death in 1227, unity began to fracture. Although his descendants ruled vast lands, tensions emerged over succession and ambition. What was once a single, mighty empire slowly fragmented into competing khanates. Civil war, rivalry, and cultural differences drove a wedge through the heart of Mongol power. Genghis had named his third son, Ogedai, as successor. Upon Ogedai's death in 1241, leadership disputes escalated. Factions formed around different lineages, sons of Ogedai, Chagatai, and Talyui, all seeking the Great Khanate. Power struggles delayed campaigns and weakened central authority, allowing local leaders to assert autonomy. By the late 13th century, the empire split into four major khanates: the Yuan dynasty in China, the Golden Horde in Russia, the Ilkhanate in Persia, and the Chagatai Khanate in Central Asia. Though still culturally Mongol, each evolved independently, often adopting local customs, languages, and religions. Kublai Khan, Genghis's grandson, claimed the Great Khan title and established the Yuan dynasty in China in 1271. He embraced Chinese governance, Confucian bureaucracy, and Buddhism. However, his authority was rejected by Western khanates. This ideological split deepened the division, reducing the once unified empire to nominal alliances. The Golden Horde ruled over Rus lands, extracting tribute but gradually assimilating into Islam and Turkic cultures. The Ilkhanate in Persia embraced Persian administration and also converted to Islam. Meanwhile, the Chagatai Khanate remained deeply nomadic, often clashing with neighbors. These divisions fueled wars among Mongols themselves. Internecine conflict eroded their strength. The Battle of Ain Jalut in 1260 saw the Mongols defeated by the Mamluks, their first significant loss. Without unity, the Khanates struggled to coordinate. The age of Mongol expansion ended, and rivalries replaced their once cohesive strategy of conquest and governance. Though the empire fractured, its impact endured. The successor Khanates continued to shape regional histories for centuries. But the age of a singular Mongol empire was over. Civil war and division had turned the greatest force on earth inward, ending the dream of a united step-born world dominion. The Mongol Empire may have collapsed, but its legacy echoed across continents. Born in blood, it shaped the medieval world through both fear and transformation. From burned cities to booming trade, its influence touched every corner of Eurasia. The scars it left behind were matched only by the changes it sparked. The Mongols redefined warfare. Their use of psychological terror, feigned retreats, and mobile cavalry tactics reshaped military doctrines. Future empires studied their methods. Armies began to emphasize speed, communication, and adaptability. In destroying old systems, the Mongols forced a violent evolution in how wars were fought and empires defended. Beyond war, they altered geography and politics. The fall of Persia, Rus, and northern China gave rise to new powers. The Ottomans, Muscovites, and Ming dynasty emerged in Mongol shadows. By crushing the old, the Mongols made space for the birth of modern Eurasian states and redrawn borders. Technological and scientific exchanges flourished under Mongol rule. Papermaking, printing, and gunpowder traveled west. Islamic astronomy and medicine moved east. The empire was a transmission belt, accelerating the global diffusion of knowledge. This exchange laid the intellectual groundwork for the Renaissance and, eventually, the modern world. Language and culture were also transformed. Mongol terms entered Persian, Russian, and Chinese lexicons. Art, clothing, and architecture absorbed steppe influences. Even culinary practices changed. Dumplings, for example, spread across continents. Despite their nomadic roots, the Mongols left lasting imprints on the cultures they once conquered. The devastation they wrought is remembered in horror. Cities leveled, libraries burned, and millions killed. Yet, paradoxically, their empire created an era of security rare in world history. Pax Mongolica allowed ideas and goods to move freely. The price was high, but the impact was undeniable and irreversible. The Mongol Empire faded, but its legacy lived on. It stitched continents together with blood and silk. It forged a new age of warfare, trade, and cultural fusion. While empires rose and fell after it, none could ignore the firestorm that was Genghis Khan's dream. The world had been changed forever. Thanks for watching Buried Truths. If you enjoyed uncovering the hidden corners of history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more powerful stories from history's hidden vault. See you in the next video.